Hare Krishna, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada very carefully formulated a system of initiations via Ritviks in ISKCON to ensure that the movement and the parampara continue smoothly even after his disappearance from this world. And Srila Prabhupada did this through the July 9th, 1977 Directive. This July 9th, 1977 Directive is one of the most important directions for the institution of ISKCON, because in Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, diksha is the foremost step in a devotee's spiritual life, which eternally binds the devotee to his spiritual master and sets him on the path home, back to Godhead. The ISKCON Mumbai Group's GBC has chosen to disobey this direct order of Srila Prabhupada in the matter of initiations or diksha. Not only has the GBC decided to disobey Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order, they have also decided that in ISKCON, nobody else should be allowed to follow this order of Srila Prabhupada. And so, they have formulated ISKCON Law 6.4.7.2, outlawed and banned practices, which states the doctrine that Srila Prabhupada desired to continue to act as Diksha Guru after his departure from this world and did not desire any of his disciples to give Diksha in succession after him is a dangerous philosophical deviation. Ritvikism directly goes against the principle of parampara itself of successive Diksha and Shiksha Gurus, which sustains the pure teachings and practices of Krishna consciousness. This principle has been established by Krishna and is upheld by all Vaishnava Acharyas. Indeed, it is accepted by all followers of Vedic culture. Ritvikism is thus an extreme deviation. It is utterly erroneous to espouse it, deluding and misguiding to teach it, and blasphemous to attribute it to Srila Prabhupada. No one who espouses, teaches, supports in any way, or practices Ritvikism can be a member in good standing of ISKCON. So, in this ISKCON law, according to the GBC, Ritvikism is a doctrine that Srila Prabhupada desired to continue to act as Diksha Guru in succession after him, and it is a dangerous philosophical deviation. What we need to understand is that the July 9th Directive of Srila Prabhupada is an order, not a doctrine. To understand the difference between order and doctrine, let me give you a simple example. Suppose I ask you, how many rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra do you chant daily? You will respond that you chant 16 rounds. Now, if I ask you, why 16 rounds? Why are you chanting 16 rounds? You will answer, because Srila Prabhupada ordered all devotees in ISKCON to chant 16 rounds. That's why. Now, suppose I respond that, oh, so you espouse the doctrine of 16 roundism, which is a doctrine that Srila Prabhupada desired that every devotee in ISKCON should continue to chant 16 rounds after his departure, and it is a dangerous philosophical deviation. Does it make any sense? Obviously not. Why? Because to chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not any doctrine. You won't find any mention of such a thing in any Shastra. Nowhere in Shastra will you find it prescribed that you have to chant 16 rounds. You won't find any precedence of it in our Sampradaya or any other Sampradaya. The fact is that to chant a fixed number of times daily as per a vow is the principle. Sankhya Purvaka Nama. Nama, to chant the holy name a fixed number of times daily, is the principle. Now, how many rounds to chant? That is left to the Acharya to determine based on various considerations like time, place, circumstance, etc. Hence, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ordered to chant 64 rounds in Gaudiya Math, and Srila Prabhupada ordered to chant 16 rounds in ISKCON. Whether 64 or 16 rounds, both don't have any precedence or Shastric reference. That is because the principle only is there in the Shastra. And what is the principle? One must chant as per a vrata or vow. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, verse number 40, it is said, Evam vrataha swapriya namakirtya. Evam vrataha swapriya namakirtya. By chanting Krishna's holy name a fixed number of times daily as a vow, one will develop love for Krishna. That is the principle. Now, when applying this principle, Srila Prabhupada has decided that the number of times should be 16 rounds. Similarly, the principle as per Shastra is Adav Guru Ashrayam. One's spiritual life begins when one takes diksha or initiation from the spiritual master. Adav Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Tato Bhajana Kriya. This is the famous verse from the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So, at the Bhajana Kriya stage, one decides to take formal diksha. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 23, verses 14 and 15, give this Adav Shraddha verse. And it states, Srila Prabhupada, in the synonyms, word to word synonyms of the Bhajana Kriya verse, he mentions the Bhajana Kriya, he has translated it as performance of devotional service to Krishna, surrendering to the spiritual master and being encouraged by the association of devotees so that initiation takes place. In the translation to these verses also, Srila Prabhupada in the Chaitanya Charitamrita says, in the beginning there must be faith, that is Adav Shraddha. Then one becomes interested in associating with pure devotees, this is Sadhu Sangha. Thereafter, one is initiated by the spiritual master and executes the regulative principles under his order. This is Bhajana Kriya. So, it is clear that the principle is that one must take diksha from a spiritual master to progress in devotional life to the next stage of anartha nivritti and then further on till one reaches the stage of Krishna Prema. That is the principle. Now, how to get the formal diksha? That is an application of the principle that one must take diksha at the stage of Bhajana Kriya from a pure devotee. And Srila Prabhupada has given the application of that principle in his July 9th order. So, therefore, it is not necessary that we will find either chanting 16 rounds or 64 rounds or the Ritvik system of initiations in Shastra. So, the GBC calling the Ritvik system of initiations as a doctrine is wrong. Just like saying 16 roundism is a doctrine. So, like that, Ritvikism is a doctrine is also wrong. The Ritvik system of initiations is an order of Srila Prabhupada as to how initiations will be conducted in ISKCON, particularly after his disappearance. Another flaw in this ISKCON law, which is brought up by His Grace Amayatma Prabhu, is worth considering. So, I will put Amayatma Prabhu's argument in my own words. As per the GBC, Srila Prabhupada's July 9th order appointing Ritviks was only temporary, to be followed until Srila Prabhupada was physically present. That means that the GBC accepts that at least between July 9th, 1977, if not earlier, and till November 14, 1977, the Ritvik system of initiations was valid and that the July 9th order was authentic and potent, at least for that period during Srila Prabhupada's physical presence. That raises the question as to what forms the basis, what is the foundation of authenticity or what lends power to the July 9th order. Does the July 9th order get its authority or authenticity or potency from Srila Prabhupada's Vapu or his Vani? Is the July 9th order getting its power from Srila Prabhupada's body? You don't need to be an Einstein to get the answer right. The July 9th directive gets its authority because of Srila Prabhupada's Vani, his order. It is his order. Therefore, it has authenticity and potency. Now, if the July 9th directive is getting its power and potency because of Srila Prabhupada's order, not his body, then Srila Prabhupada's physical presence or absence should not make any difference, because Srila Prabhupada's Vani or his order or his instruction continues to hold the same potency, authority and authenticity even in his physical absence. Just like, for example, the practice of chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra daily has the same potency to deliver the conditioned souls and take them back to Godhead. It has the same potency during Srila Prabhupada's physical presence and even in his absence. We cannot say that Srila Prabhupada told everyone to chant 16 malas, and so this rule is temporary and is potent or valid only till the time of his physical presence. And after Prabhupada's disappearance, chanting 16 rounds is no more valid. It is a dangerous philosophical deviation. We have to ban it. And to chant 16 rounds in ISKCON after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance has to be banned, and anybody chanting 16 rounds in ISKCON after Prabhupada's disappearance cannot be allowed to be part of ISKCON. Can we say that? Obviously, to make such a statement would be insane. In the same way, since the July 9th directive is Srila Prabhupada's order, it has the same authority, authenticity and potency even today in his physical absence, as much as it had during his physical presence before November 14, 1977. So, to say that the July 9th order instituting Ritvik system of initiations in ISKCON cannot be followed after November 14, 1977, simply because of one reason, that Srila Prabhupada's body is not there, he is not physically present. Is that not actually the philosophical deviation? The ISKCON law, which bans a Ritvik system of diksha, saying that it is a dangerous philosophical deviation, isn't that very law actually a dangerous philosophical deviation? Isn't the GBC's idea to tie Srila Prabhupada's order or his Vani to his physical presence by coining a new term called posthumous Ritvik initiation, isn't that a dangerous philosophical deviation? Isn't the GBC's assertion that Srila Prabhupada's orders must be tied to his body, and once he disappears, his orders are no longer valid, isn't that a dangerous philosophical deviation? So if you want to stay safe and steer away from dangerous philosophical deviations, please follow Srila Prabhupada's July 9, 1977 order to institute the Ritvik system of initiations in ISKCON with Srila Prabhupada as the sole Diksha Guru in ISKCON. Hare Krishna, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.